The Johnson family had just moved into their dream home. It was a beautiful old house, with lots of character and charm. They had been searching for the perfect home for months, and when they saw this one, they knew it was meant to be. It was perfect in every way, or so they thought. As they began to unpack their belongings and settle into their new home, they noticed strange things happening. Doors would close on their own, and they would hear footsteps in the hallway when no one was there. They tried to brush it off as their imagination, but they couldn't ignore it for long. One day, while exploring the attic, they discovered an old trunk. It was covered in dust and cobwebs, and it seemed like it hadn't been touched in years. They opened it, and inside they found old photographs and letters. As they began to read the letters, they realized that the house had a dark past. The letters were from a woman named Mary, who had lived in the house over 100 years ago. She had been married to a man named William, but their marriage was not a happy one. William was abusive and controlling, and Mary lived in fear of him. She had confided in her best friend, who lived next door, and the two women had come up with a plan to escape. They planned to run away together, but on the night of their escape, William had discovered their plan. He had killed Mary's friend and then Mary herself. He had buried their bodies in the backyard and had never been caught. The Johnsons were horrified by what they had read. They had unknowingly moved into a house where a murder had taken place. They didn't know what to do, but they couldn't bring themselves to leave. They decided to stay and try to make the best of it, but things only got worse. They began to see the ghostly figure of a woman in the attic, and they knew it was Mary. They tried to communicate with her, but she would never respond. They tried to ignore her, but she would only become more persistent. One day, the Johnsons decided to investigate the backyard. They dug up the area where Mary and her friend had been buried, and they found their bones. They called the police, and an investigation was launched. William had long since passed away, but justice was finally served. The Johnsons thought that their nightmare was over, but they were wrong. They began to notice that things were missing from their home. Small things at first, like a pen or a book, but then bigger things like jewelry and electronics. They didn't know what to do, but they suspected that someone was breaking into their home. One night, they decided to stay up and catch the thief. They heard footsteps in the hallway, and they waited for the thief to enter their bedroom. But when the door opened, it wasn't a thief they saw. It was Mary. The ghostly figure of Mary stood before them, and they realized that she wasn't haunting them. She was trying to protect them. The thief was still out there, and Mary was determined to keep her family safe. The Johnsons were amazed and grateful. They had never believed in ghosts before, but now they knew that they had a guardian angel watching over them. They thanked Mary and promised to take care of her home. But then something strange happened. The thefts continued, and the Johnsons began to notice that some of Mary's belongings were missing. They couldn't believe it. Why would someone steal from a ghost? They decided to investigate, and they discovered that their neighbor had been sneaking into their home and stealing from them. She had read the letters in the trunk and had become obsessed with Mary and her story. She had even taken some of Mary's belongings as souvenirs. The Johnsons were shocked and disgusted. They couldn't believe that someone they had trusted had betrayed them like this. They called the police, and their neighbor was arrested. As they sat in their living room, still in shock, they heard a noise coming from the attic. They cautiously made their way up the stairs and saw Mary's ghostly figure once again. But this time, she was smiling. "You've done well," she said. "You've uncovered the truth and brought justice to my name. But there is one more thing you must do." She led them to the trunk and pointed to a small box in the corner. "Inside that box, you will find something that belongs to me, something that I need to move on." The Johnsons opened the box, and inside they found a ring. It was beautiful, and they knew it must have been important to Mary. "Take this ring and bury it in the backyard, where my body once lay," Mary said. It is the last thing I need to move on." The Johnsons did as she asked, and as they buried the ring, they felt a strange energy in the air. When they turned around, Mary's ghostly figure was gone. They knew that she had finally found peace. As they sat on their porch, watching the sunrise, the Johnsons realized that they had been given a gift. They had been a part of something greater than themselves. They had helped right a wrong, and they had given a ghost the closure she needed. They knew that they would never forget Mary or the ghost in the attic. They would always remember the haunting truth of their home and the twisted ending that had brought them peace. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next video.